Today's video is all about Supra. Build Super dApps on the all-in-one Supra L1. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking at some of the fundamentals, the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is Supra an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive today, looking into this project, obviously looking into some of the details that could make us fundamentally bullish. We'll be taking a retail perspective, looking at whether the team has given us all the details we need to get bullish, if it's readily available, if the website is well designed, from a marketing perspective, are we able to get bullish here, right? So let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this Supra project. First of all, I just want to say that Supra has been getting a bit of hype in the last little while. Good attention, which is obviously great. On the other hand, we see another L1 hitting the market. Of course, there's still room for other L1s, but as we see, especially this cycle, there's many more competitors trying to take Ethereum out, right? So right now we do see Supra doing pretty good, offering some great opportunities for both investors and the technology as a whole. And of course, we got to figure this out. What kind of bullishness do we have here? Let's begin. Let's use the website as the main platform to navigate the project. I'm hoping that we can scrape through this real quick and get all the details we need. Build composable ecosystems with Supra containers. So fancy language, of course, containers. It's just a space, really. It's a space of which you can build applications, and not only just an application, but an entire ecosystem. So if you see here, foster your own custom ecosystem, you're able to deploy, let's call it a layer zero. Let's call it a layer zero because then you can deploy your own L1 or deploying different projects, fine tune and attract more builders and dApps to your container with dApps across Supra L1 and other containers. So it's almost like behaving like a boilerplate where you can develop an entire ecosystem using Supra. It is an L1, but because its framework is designed to build an ecosystem, some may argue that, its strategy is almost like behaving like a layer zero. Deploy faster at fractions of a cost. Okay, that's pretty good. So far we're getting a little bit of an understanding as we keep on going down. Containers build with freedom, your ability to have some space on the blockchain where you could deploy different projects, and obviously using smart contracts. But let's continue. Supra containers give you the benefit of L2s, and the benefit of L2s right now, we know mostly it's just because of the transaction fees, the gas fees, and all of that. Speed in some cases, and app chains without any drawback. So just understand that one of Supra's main value proposition is speed. You're looking at 5,000 transactions per second as an L1 without any need for an L2, okay, or anything like that. So this is incredible, obviously, really quick. Now we know that a lot of the L1s are coming out saying, oh, we're the fastest. It doesn't matter. They're all fast. They're all great. Supra's fast. Awesome stuff, okay? The multi-VM, the multi-virtual machine advantage. Guys, the second value proposition, and in my opinion, it's much more of a stronger value proposition than just speed, because we're seeing a lot of L1s with tons of speed, and that's fine, for different variations of speed, all good, all equally, all decently fast. But the thing is that from a development perspective, I like ecosystem growth. This is something that I focus on quite a bit, because I understand that the true value of a network, which is obviously Supra, is its ecosystem. And then the reason being is because ecosystem brings utility, and utility brings a reason for an individual to hold the Supra token, or coin. So this is super important, right? At the end of the day, we are a multi-virtual machine advantage. What does this mean? We'll get into that, but a native Oracle services without any added overhead or complexity. So this is one of the value propositions. Number one, speed. Number two, multi virtual machine, which means that you don't only, or you can deploy contracts using various languages. Okay, so we know Ethereum, the Ethereum virtual machine is obviously one of the most common, and then we have the Solana, virtual machine, which at this current moment I forget what it's called, but you get what I mean. And then moving on forward, we have the Cosmos ecosystem and many other different ecosystems that you have their own virtual machine, which ultimately will allow for cross-chain transactions and a cross-chain environment here for Supra. So for me, this is a really good value proposition, because ultimately all those projects that are deployed on all those other platforms that use those other virtual machines can now use Supra without any friction, and that means its ecosystem can easily grow without any of that friction, and ultimately this is what we want to see. So allowing projects to come into Supra's ecosystem easily, and not having to know a new language, a new computer language, a software development language. It's all kind of native to the comfort zone of all the developers that they've already put in so much time learning and constructing. Supra doesn't have those barriers to entry, which is a massive value proposition if they want ecosystem growth. So for me, that's great, good stuff there. And then an Oracle, another somewhat of a scenario where we can have to depend on Oracle. So a lot of EVM compatible projects, or not just EVM, pretty much any L1 that has smart contracts basically requires on an Oracle for the smart contract to receive information. And an Oracle, that's what its main focus is to provide data, okay, to provide information. Most of the time we reflect on an Oracle being the provider of prices. Let's say the price of a token, particularly speaking in DeFi. Like if you're making a decentralized platform of some sort where you're going to allow trading or a DEX or whatever, you need those price feeds, right, in order for the contracts to run accordingly. Now, in this case, they rely on an Oracle. Obviously, there are many Oracles out there. Number one, Chainlink, and then there's Pyth, and there's other ones. But the good news here, which is interesting, is not only Supra providing its own in-house Oracle, but it's also releasing that dependency on a third party. Right, so there's that connection between decentralization now and perhaps centralization, and also that whole dependency aspect. So an in-house Oracle allows it to tap into other narratives, of course, having its own Oracle, and in addition, providing that support for all the L1s that are deployed with and smart contracts that are deployed on Supra and other EVM or multi-VM compatible projects that come in can use this Oracle service as well. Guys, it's just like a whole ecosystem that is being built, and there are projects that are doing a very similar thing at the current moment, and there are scenarios out there that provide one-stop shop for L1s and smart contract deployment. But Supra right now is a lot of people chatting about it, so this is good. Let's continue. Supra L1 Vision. Okay, a lot of good information here for you to watch, guys. I skimmed through all of this. It's pretty good, like a lot of information. But to be honest, the website does a decent job giving you everything you need. Sub-second consensus finality. Okay, fast, tested on 300 nodes globally. Formally verified by Microsoft. Okay, a little bit of a name drop here. Fine. And that's that. As we keep on going down, again, the multi-VM means you build with your language. Any language is acceptable here, right? So we can see the other one, Move. It's a proprietary language that Aptos and Sui use, okay, especially particularly Sui being very hot right now. Then you have EVM, which Ethereum virtual machine is massive, biggest ecosystem out there. And then Solana virtual machine, which uses Rust, a particular language that they use to deploy their smart contracts. And you can see their documents are coming soon, which is great because we know how powerful and influential Solana has been in the crypto space, so that's great. And then you have Cosmos, which obviously has that whole other side of the the space that provides a lot of different contracts as well for many projects. So this is great that we're so diversified. In a way, there's no excuse not to deploy your project on Supra because of this. What's the reason? What's the barrier to entry? There is none. You don't have to reprogram anything. You don't have to interpret or translate anything. It's ready to go. So that's good. That's good stuff. Let's continue going down. And a bit of repetition on this website. I'll admit, a bit of repetition. I've already saw this multi-VM concept already 3 times, okay? But it's a nicely built, very informative website. We have the multi-VM, then oracles, the integrated verifiable on-chain randomness. This is something that is very tech-wise. Obviously, they have a lot of documentation here, guys. Tons of tech documentation. And it's great because it is tech. So that's something that if you're into the tech and you really want to know all the physics behind of it, trust me, Supra has you covered. However, as a crypto project, and of course as a crypto channel, we focus on how is this a Web3 application or a Web3 project, and we're going to focus that completely on that. So automation, get navigating automated with 0 block delay execution. Okay, speed, cross-chain communication. This is what we talked about already. Transactions and messaging across different chains, which is great. Obviously, no barriers to entry, no friction, no none of that is bullish. Now you can see again back to the speed concept. You can see how fast they are, especially for the data feeds. As you can see, Supra's oracles are fast. Okay, good stuff there, and is now available on multiple exchanges. The good news is it's not available on every exchange, but it's on the the B tier type of exchanges. Of course, Mexi and KuCoin, and then Gate and Bitpanda. These are smaller exchanges and medium exchanges, but if we're going to wait for large exchanges, guys, the price is going to start to run. Just keep in mind. And as we go down, we see logos. Okay, and this was one of the hardest projects for me to critique with regards to logos, because it has so much. The relationships are so deep and wide in the sense that there's so many logos, there's too many relationships, and it's hard for an individual, especially coming into the space that is new from a retail perspective. Again, this deep dive is focusing on helping the newcomers come in that truly want to understand what Supra is. It gets very overwhelming, especially when there's no extra information added to these. Now, the good news is that this is very clear. This is a list of VCs, venture capitalists that provided capital into Supra, and ultimately they are part of the Web3 and Web2 space, okay, which is normal to see. And you can see some of these are very, very common. Coinbase Ventures, Animoca Brands, and Animoca Ventures. And as we go down, there's others, even exchanges, Yobi and Razer, hardware, mostly hardware company, peripherals and all of that. So, there's a lot of good stuff. Capital, venture management, anything equity, partners, capital, venture, and those kind of words, they are VCs and they're providing capital, okay? And the reality is that these individuals in the last little while haven't gotten the greatest reputation as a whole. I'm not saying that they're, doing the wrong thing. I'm just saying, getting a VC involved comes with a certain amount of expectation. And the expectation is that these individuals want to make gains and quick, right? They're either in a very speculative, high risk environment. They provide capital to Supra, and as soon as they can, break even and get out of this risky scenario, trust me, they will. Okay, and we also have to understand that Supra's genesis is like a few months old, right? It just started, just began. So these guys right now are high risk and waiting for the reward. You have to understand that. Now they could be totally convicted that Supra is amazing, and trust me, it looks great. But ultimately, we have to understand the objective of these individuals, VCs, which are to create a scenario where they can have quick turnover on their investment without taking risk. Okay, they're traders at the end of the day. Let's keep on going down. Program and accelerators. Okay, we have a few MasterCard and plugin. So a lot of good relationships here, guys. Tons of them. And my problem is that I couldn't find much detail. After like half an hour to an hour digging around, looking through X, clicking, there is nothing really clear about what these relationships are all about. So for me, I'm a 50-50 type of guy when I see this, because it almost like turns me off. You generates like a bunch of logos with no information. Now I'm just going to touch upon the socials. I went on X, and they are pumping out X posts, and that's great. However, the important posts such as these relationships get lost within all the noise, and that's another issue. So what I would suggest here is that either these are clickable and they, go onto a blog that explain exactly what their relationship is, which I haven't seen a project really do that properly. Because really, if I want to know what they're doing with this MasterCard path and what this means, and they want me to be bullish about it, spend 2 seconds and communicate that value to me. And I think that would be very valuable. Okay, so let's move on. And we keep on going down, take a deeper dive into Supra. So we're going to take a look at the tokenomics. Of course, I'm glad that they have this. And I'm just going to say that their white papers, which they have many of them, most of them are tech-based. They're not crypto-based. And as you guys know, I do deep dives every week. I'm on my, I did 80 plus deep dives, and sometimes occasionally I would say about 10% of the projects that I have done focus completely on the tech rather than giving us a white paper that is focused on Web3 as a crypto project, which I would suggest that they do. I would suggest that they get a Git book of some sort and really put everything together in a nice package for all those crypto enthusiasts that want to treat this as a Web3, not just as a Web2 or just another tech project. Okay, so this is completely Web3, and I would support, a little bit more transparency in that regard. So let's keep on going down. Learn about Supra tech. Of course, their tech is awesome. We get it. Lots of tech, community updates, and so on. And we got some exposure, on Cointelegraph. A lot of these links, the reality is they could be paid advertisements where they pay for a slot. And that's possibly most likely the case, which is fine. We all need advertising. We pay for advertising all the time. So this is good around some good platforms. And that concludes that. There's a lot of links, a lot of good stuff. And I got some tabs open already for us so that we can focus on the important, because you can see there's a lot happening here. Okay, let's move on. Let's take a look at this research area. We've solving the trilemmas. This is a little bit of a previous cycle vocabulary, but it's all fine. And as I mentioned, there's tons of white papers, guys. Tons of white papers of various sorts, of various aspects of their project, of their tech, which is great, of course. But then what we're really interested in is this, okay? And even when you get into this, it's not even the greatest. So I'm gonna just make sure I have this open because I'm here. So I'm gonna open it up in a new tab real quick, and we can go take a look at what that is. And it's a PDF, and that's very unfortunate because really it's not a working document, right? It's from July 2023. This is history. This is a history paper at the current moment. We need to get up to date. We need to be it needs to be a working document. And as you keep on going down or even read through this, unfortunately they took a very interesting approach that may be confusing for a lot of people. Why? Because they made the paper very analogous to the human body. They compared the utility of Supra to how the human body functions, talking about red blood cells and other things and biology. And although it's great, I feel like you need a biology degree in order to truly understand the connections that are being made. Sometimes less is more, and simplifying things, again, for a average individual retail investor, is going to take you a lot further. So, guys, feel free to read this. This is not typical for me to see. I haven't really seen this. Again, I do a lot of deep dives. I'm always doing deep dives, and I've never seen such, documentation like this. It needs to be revisited. I think the marketing communications team needs to really package this up in a very nice way. Okay, I'm not going to keep on going on that. Let's keep on going. Our research, lots of academia, lots of research. I love it. It's great. And you can see doctors everywhere, oracles and doctors everywhere. Good stuff, lots of talent, research papers, publications, and lots of stuff happening here. But again, it digs so deep into the tech. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly just show you the value here, and then ultimately how it can be used, and then going forward, how does this apply to the crypto scene, right? So that's that. And then the layer one ecosystem. So this is again, as we talked about, the barriers to entry for this ecosystem is little to none. Really, you can be programming in pretty much any language and you're doing good. And not only that, when you're in the Supra ecosystem, and you finally deploy it, it takes it in any language, obviously, and it's an in-house one-stop shop for everything, and to the point that you can even have, space to, like, what I mean is, infrastructure space, memory to be able to deploy projects right on the ecosystem itself without requiring any third party, which for me is completely decentralized. That's what I want. I don't want to see AWS and Azure and Google and all of this. I want to see a completely deep in infrastructure. So it's not bad of a scenario here. They do provide quite a bit. And as you can see, their ecosystem for such a young project that has only been out, TGE wise, token Genesis, it's got a lot already. It's got a wallet, it's got bridges, it's got all kinds of stuff. DEXs, lending, perpetuals already, gaming already. It's got everything. It's got everything you need already to begin. And now what I've noticed is that a lot of these L1s are coming out hot. There's a many of them that are coming out hot and still somewhat overvalued. Either they're coming out fair lunch where their price is struggling, or they're coming out with VC backup, which obviously, like we mentioned, has an area of interest for us to watch out for. Okay, so lots of good stuff here. There's an ecosystem directory where you can kind of see what all these various projects are all about. Layer 0, we know what this is. It's cross-chain, so it's not exclusive to Supra, and there's a lot of others. So you can do a lot of research onto which projects are bullish here, and of course, as proxy, you can get in on these as Supra does well, so will these projects, okay? So, and I'm guaranteeing you, these guys are micro caps. They're very small market cap projects, right? As for the most part, than ones that are native to Supra, okay? So lots of good stuff here. Let's move on. The blockchain infrastructure stack. So I just want to show you what I meant by the tech, and there's a lot of repetition even on the website, guys. This is a very technical white paper showing you the cross-chain capabilities, showing you the tech stack, showing you how things work with regards to the nodes, the tribes, the clans, the families. These are the way the nodes work, and in a very a clear way that you can understand how the transaction flow from nodes to final transaction. And there's a lot of detail here, guys, tons of detail. But again, I'm going to lose you as we keep on going down. You see it gets very technical. We start to bring out the physics and the memory and all of that, and ultimately, guys, this is not what it's about. The tech is great, we get it. Now, what's more important to us as a crypto enthusiast, yes, they use blockchain, and yes, they got everything that we need, but what's about the tokenomics and the utility of this token? Because the token is exactly what is Web3. Now, if they do have a deep in infrastructure, they do have nodes that make, for their consensus mechanism and all of that for transactions and their proof of work type of scenario, and all of that they got going on, because they do have consensus. But Supra's puts community and ecosystem first. Okay, so this is important, because how are they doing that exactly? And that's what's important. This has been the priority at every stop of the way, especially in the tokenomics distribution. Okay, let's judge this for ourselves. Now we can see that there are 22.6% to the foundation and the treasury, which I appreciate that at least the foundation and treasury is going to be controlled by governance. Okay, so there is a DAO structure here. Now, I'm not sure exactly if the DAO structure is fully deployed just yet, but that's the intention, and that is what is baked into the token distribution. I appreciate that. It's not like 22% or 22.6% is going to be allocated to the early stakeholders or founders. And in this case, technically it should be, because the majority of the token holders at the current moment are early stakeholders, and they are going to have a lot of control over the way this project runs. 21% validator and stakers. These are rewards for validation and staking. Okay, this is healthy. People like you and I can easily get involved by staking and being node contributors, and then we get passive income, and up to 21% of the tokens are going to be allocated for those individuals. And then where things get a little bit hectic, okay, so you can see that 20.7% are for early contributors. So that means people that got in super early, probably got in at a better price, probably hold large bags, and these are the people that we obviously have to watch out for, because they're going to use the regular retailer as exit liquidity at the top of the bull market. Okay, so that's a significant amount of token. Now we have to understand that these tokens are going to be on an emission schedule where they're going to get unlocked bit by bit. And we're going to talk about that in a second. We got 16% of the team. Obviously, they got to eat. They're working. They got to get their rewards. And you can see, yeah, that's 16%. And then that, if you combine those two, that's already 36% of the tokens. And then you have ecosystem and community, which is fine. And then I wonder, who's really taking care of the ecosystem and the community allocation? Is it under governance? Is it, is it just who's calling the shots with those 11%? And then blast off airdrop. These are early people, early investors that got airdrop. So you got to put them in that category of 36 plus 4. You're talking about 40% already. And then others, advisors, strategic partners, marketing, legal, admin, and more. So there's a little bit of ambiguity as to where those go, and it could be early stakeholders as well, and people that are early in the team, and these tokens are obviously at risk for being sold, obviously for reward. They need to get paid, and this is fine. But the problem is that if you combine all of this early stakeholder type of group here, it's about 45%. And it's significant, right? And we're very early in the stages of Supra. Okay, so let's just understand that. Okay, so the only ones that we can kind of be a little bit, let's say, safe about are the foundation and treasury, which still we would have to see that the token allocation is spread amongst many holders, so that it's not concentrated to early stakeholders as well, and then we look at the rest, right? Early contributors and all of that. Okay, so a lot of tokens that we got to worry about. Now if you look at the emissions, right, we're like very early, guys. We're like months after token generation event, the TGE. We're literally a couple of months in, and it's just beginning, right? So there's going to be a lot of unlocks, and it kind of tapers off after 36 months, which is going to be a good amount of time, guys, right? This is going to have to be either a quick hold for the bull run and then make sure that you exit, because all these people are going to be receiving tokens throughout this remainder of the bull run, and then all of a sudden they're going to take profit and this thing will fall, guys. It's not nothing against Supra. It's just the way the tokenomics. It's just tokenomics. That's all it is. Those VCs, those early contributors, ultimately they're going to be up significantly because the bull run brings a lot of capital and people are going to be loving Supra. And of course, I'm a holder as well. And Supra looks great, but ultimately I'm going to want to take profits as well, knowing that heavyweights, early investors are holding a bunch of tokens that they've probably accumulated all the way up as they're getting their tokens. And eventually they know that the market is going to get into a bear market and it's going to retrace 88%. If you're lucky, it will hold and not go deeper than that. And the reality is we gotta follow the smart money. In the next cycle, Supra, is going to come back, and we're going to see that the emissions is going to be a lot better, and ultimately the unlocks will be a lot smaller, and we'll go for another move to the upside in another bull run. The reality is this is normal. It's normal for a project like this that comes out at this timing to take massive retracements in a bear market, despite how great its tech is. Okay, so it's nothing specific to Supra's tech. It's just the way the tokenomics work. Okay, supply and demand. Super token thesis. You can check out this video. They got a lot of good stuff there. And then we start talking about what it's used for, which is great, guys. This is good. This is good deep dive information, like nice and clean, just spread across the entire website. And if it was in a nice package, it would be so much better. Gas fees, of course, staking and rewards, power native services, so currency, ultimately, real-time data access, again, like currency, you can use the currency to get data and services, native services, and then ultimately governance, which we talked about already. You can get in and hold and become active within the DAO and, contribute to the DAO, offer, some sort of opinions and put in some requests, and people vote and so on and so forth. And that's what you want to see, especially if there's a treasury allocation, the treasury should be governed by the DAO. Okay, so that's good stuff. Ultimately, decentralize some of the liquidity and decentralize some of the authority within the way the organization works is what we want to see, so that we can have a decentralized protocol. Okay, so good stuff. And then, of course, Supra, a utility and beyond. Feel free to read that, guys. There's a lot of elaboration and things like that. Of course, you can be bullish on. But for me, keeping it simple, keeping it real, true crypto, this is what we're talking about. Now, I think this might go to that same document that we've already talked about. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same document with PDF. Okay, so I'm going to close that one. Let's see what else we got here. I wanted to look at the mainnet. So the TGE is not really listed anywhere. So I went to block number 1, November 21st, 2024. So as I mentioned, it's fairly new. This is the first block that was ever, basically transacted on. So this is where I got the data. And they have their own super scan, their own ether scan, let's put equivalent, and that's good. And let's see what else they got. This is the token again, the same PDF, guys. That PDF was popping up everywhere for me. And as we keep on going down, we see the partnerships, or let's keep it more clear. I don't want to classify this website as a partnership website. It's a relationship website. Let's broaden the definition here, because half of these are not partnerships. Okay, these are not strategic partnerships. They are relationships. They could provide good value. But the reality is that if you start seeing, okay, these are these are all of them. So if you start looking at NFTs, these are probably NFT that are deployed on their L1, which is great. It's just fine. It's not really a partnership. It's part of their ecosystem. Corporate partners. Okay. So MasterCard, are they really partnered, or are they part of the incubator program? That's a big difference, guys. Google Cloud, are they partnered with Google, or are they using their Google Cloud infrastructure? That's a huge difference, right? I deploy my videos on YouTube. Am I partnered with YouTube? Not really. Not really, guys. Not really. I'm not partnered with YouTube or Google whatsoever. The reality is I'm my own person, and they are, and in fact, I would say I work for them, if anything. Okay, so let's just be real about what these, type of relationships are all about, like the Morpheus network. Okay. Interesting, but I don't see a partnership here. Corporate partners. Let's see, GameFi. Okay, these are probably projects that are deployed again on their ecosystem, which is good. DeFi, more projects deployed on their ecosystem, of course, because they're cross-chain. You're going to get a lot of it. Metis, you get a lot of name drops here, tons of them, to the point that to be honest, they kind of turn me off, because I don't know what they're about, right? And some of them have the announcements. Like if we click here, this is great. The fact that we can get into the announcement and see what they're all about. And to be honest, I kind of retract my statement, because at least you can click some of these things and get some of the information, but not on the ones on the main website, on the VCs. Like, what was that all about? But this is good. At least you can see what they're all about and what kind of relationship they have. So I'm going to quickly go back. Actually, I can't go back. Let me just backpedal a little bit here, and we'll kind of continue going. Some of them you can click, you can see, you can click, which is great. Honestly, this is probably one of the best partnership relationship websites that have seen, or pages that I've seen, because it can give you some of that clarity. Now, payments, announcement, every announcement is linked here. Not every, but most, which is good. But again, are these partnerships? Probably not. Trading, what do we got here for trading? Bitmart. I'm wondering how they're getting involved. Obviously, you can read up on that. So the reason why I am reluctant to all of this, because I see some of them that shouldn't be called partners. So it requires a little bit of research. Nonetheless, I'm 50-50 in all of this, because unless they're very strategic partners, I am very skeptical on whether they're partnerships or if they're just ecosystem relationships. And ecosystem relationships are good, but they're not partnerships. Okay, so we just got to be clear about that. Like, a VC is not a partner. It's not a partner. They're a bank. They provide capital. They don't care. They just want return on investment. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to be very rough on that, tough on that on this front, because again, we've got to make sure that we understand metaverse. Okay, it's a lot of good stuff, guys. A lot of good stuff. Data providers. I'm interested in this. We got Coinbase Pro. Got lots of CoinSeeker. Let's see what Coinbase. See, can't even click this one. Can't click this one. Why not? These are the bullish one. Polygon IO. Why not? Right? We can click them. So I'm a little bit on the fence of all of this. Clean this up, or be real about what's what, and it's great. But still, for its age, meaning couple months, this is amazing, guys. We got to admit, they're everywhere. They got lots of relationships, and I appreciate that. So we're going to give a 50-50 right there. We are with a simple goal, making blockchain better. Let's see what we got. Okay, the team. What's going on with the team? The team seems quite interesting. So at least they're completely doxed. You can see this is the core team. These are the senior representatives of the team. Okay, but the founder is not here, so I had to do a little bit of research to see what the founder is all about. But this is all the majority of the talent. There's much more. Okay, so there's much more. Let's take a look at the LinkedIn page. And you can see there's lots, guys, pages upon pages of individuals that are working. How many people are in this? 226 associated members. So to different facets of their company, they basically employ 226 across the globe. Okay, so across the globe, a very global type of organization. And as we keep on going down, you can see there's lots of talent. Web3 enthusiast, chief business development, cryptography everywhere. Digital marketing, blockchain engineering. And again, guys, just scroll through this and read and read and read, and you'll see that there's lots of different talent here from across many aspects and many needs that for a project may have. Okay, so tons of stuff here. And as we keep on going, I was like, okay, let's focus on the top dogs, right? Of course, him, co-founder, CEO Joshua, right here. He's the top dog. He's the one that you see on majority of the videos and all the publications. And you can see backed by and all of these logos again. And it's great. Supra Oracles. As we go down, Supra, co-founder and CEO, and then the co-founder and CEO of Unity Chain. Unity Chain Inc. is a for-profit startup, venture studio, and research and development laboratory with a variety of products in development. Okay, so it seems like it's blockchain. It's about 60. They've been working on it for about 12 years. Okay, that's fine. And then co-founder of Content Mutual is the first platform marketplace for uploading, protecting, distributing, and monetizing original content across web using blockchain technology. So you can see that there's some experience here with it, with this individual. He's got an economics background from Drew University. Okay, so this he's not new to the space, and that's what I appreciate. That's all that we really want, is to make sure that this individual can lead us in the right direction with regards to the space in general. Right? It doesn't have to have specifics. It doesn't have to be an engineer per se. Okay, so let's talk about some, other talent. John Jones, another co-founder, right? So as we go down, basically the project was founded by the two full-time, and they're also part of this Unity Chain and Governance Blockchain Association, still integrated within the space to certain capacities by being a part of this association. Block Camp, Blockchain Consulting and Events, Taiwan Entrepreneur Club. So an entrepreneur within the blockchain space, knows exactly where the space is going, has experience, and that's all we really want. And again, economics. Okay, that's fine. There's cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, tied together by economics. Perfect. Why not? And then, obviously there are others. Like I mentioned, guys, there's tons of engineers, and they hire the correct talent that they need, including marketing and so on. What I do see is a lot of ambassadors slash personalities. Let's put it personalities, or even like influencers. I see a lot of them in this list, which kind of bothers me a little bit, to be honest. Like, are they part of the team, or are they just, part of the marketing? Why do they have to be directly associated? I see like a few of them. Okay, so we got to understand that. For me, it's a little bit iffy. Why would they be like an influencer? We don't need influencers part of the team. If they're part of the marketing department, they work with some influencers. We understand that they got to pay for marketing and get the word out there. I understand, but to make them part of the team in this way and call them influencers, it may not be that great. So provide services, video editing. Okay, so call them a video editor or chain influencer. I'm on the fence on that one. Okay, so that's that. Overall, pretty good. And then I went to crypto rank here to kind of see what they got, any data. There wasn't really much on it's not on Supra right now, but there wasn't really much on Supra. Typical, right? And you got some stuff regarding the team, which was at least a good standing point to kind of get an idea of who are the head. And we saw the CRO and CCO, CMO, and so on, and these two that we just covered, and they're fully doxed, so you can research them, and you can tell that they're heavyweights in the space. They're totally great. And we got news if you want to know a little bit more about what they just released a post on their ecosystem today, I believe. So that's pretty good. And lots of info here, and Supra and Cloud, their partnership. They're not partners, guys. This is what bothers me. Right away, I start to get like, that's not a partnership. Trust me, guys. They're using their cloud-based platform, and any software company could do that. It's not a partnership. Okay, so that's that. Historical data, analytics, arbiters, nothing about their vesting and so on. And then you got their overview. You can see tons of VCs, 23 VCs all up in here, looking to make gains. And then obviously we'll talk about the price action in a second, and that's about it. Okay, so let's move on. And as I was mentioning the socials, right? They do have 321,000 followers. And as you scroll down, you can see there's a lot of posting here on Supra. Trump USDT native Oracle price feed is now live for the L1s. We know Trump has been killing it with that thing. And you can see a lot of posts, a lot of stuff. This was the one that I was talking about, the Supra build tribe at work. You can see the ecosystem is growing, which is awesome. And we already established that that's one of its main value propositions, and that's that. But there's a lot of posting happening, and I'll give you some of the metrics in a second, but there's a lot of posting. So it's very important that any partnerships that are valid and very strong, that they put them on their blog. And their blog, unfortunately, I was happy to see that there was some linkages to some of those profiles that we saw on the relationships page, but I can see also here that their last post on their Medium page was in April 2023, which is severely outdated. And to be honest, it's better that they don't even have this if they're not going to pay attention to it, right? So posting here might be good, or at least their website, some of those relationships are clickable and some of the news is clickable, but we got to have a system that is in sync. Either you're going to use this or you're going to use X, which X eventually, when you're posting hundreds of posts on a monthly basis, it gets lost in the feed. So it's honestly, it's better to have it somewhere else, almost like a third-party application. All right, guys, we did good here. We know exactly what's happening here with Medium. And as usual, I do release a overall overview, a infographic, and I'm going to put this all over the socials. So let's go right into this and see what's going on here. We do see that Supra is a beast. Ultimately, we did very, very well with Supra. And the L1 has a lot to offer the space. Okay, Supra basically it's a vertical with tons of opportunity that offers easy to use L1 deployment, project deployment. And in fact, it's not just a project that you can deploy, it's an entire ecosystem that you can employ within its bucket or within its little spaces that it provides. The dashboard and it's got a blockchain explorer, it's got its own in-house Oracle, and many projects built on it already and still building. 10 out of 10 for ecosystem, you cannot deny. Okay, utility, gas, staking, governance, a medium of exchange, and much more. And of course, 10 out of 10 right there, because it's very typical, and this is exactly what I expected from Supra. And the roadmap, it could use a little bit. I'll be honest. Now, the roadmap is almost non-existent. It is available on their Discord. There's no dates or anything like that. Timeframes would be valuable. The phases include important developments, which is great, but I think it needs to focus a little bit on the roadmap and providing detail as to where they are going with this. There's just a graphic on their Discord, and I should have provided it here for you guys, but for some reason it wasn't working today. Okay, so I'm just going to have to rely on you guys. Go on their Discord, and you can see that they do have a roadmap section, and their visual is there, but we don't know where we're at ultimately. And especially as a new project a few months in, where are we going with things? I really want to know, because I want to know how much capital I need to deploy if I'm bullish on that focus, right? The team founders have involvement in the blockchain space and have a history there. Supra seems to be their major breakthrough as far as in the crypto space. So I'm supporting that. You know, sometimes we wait for the best opportunities, and I feel like the whole team, including the founders, this is their moment. This is what they've been waiting for, is to have their own project like this that could definitely break through. And this is it. Team is large with plenty of talent. I appreciate them. The socials are interesting. However, we've got to be quite clear. They have gone down lately. 4.1 thousand followers in the last 30 days. However, they have been losing a bit of traction, although that's still a lot, guys. We can't knock it. They're down 86% for the last 30 days, which means that the previous 30 days they've been doing a lot better. And technically they're coming down. Now the space is a little bit volatile in the last little while. It has been a bit confused, right? Bitcoin is doing very well and drawing a bit of the attention away from the altcoins, and altcoins in general have been a bit stagnant, and you can tell by the Supra price. We'll talk about the Supra price in a second. Tokenomics, 7 out of 10 right there. And the only reason why I'm a bit concerned here is because of the unlocks that are going to begin in March. Okay, so they're going to start, unlocking tokens in March in 2025. Early stakeholders are allocated 45% more or less of the tokens, which is significant. And of course, there is a vesting schedule, as you saw the chart. A little bit more detail on that vesting would be good, percentage-wise, on how that looks and how it's going to impact off of each unlock. And of course, there's going to be a rewarding system that's going to, reward and have those emissions little by little. But still, we want to know, like, how are those unlocks on those major accounts and distribution going to get, and how many they're going to get, and how hard are we going to feel the sell pressure when they do get them? You know what I mean? So ultimately, this is a little bit of an issue. Too many tokens allocated there. More should be allocated to the ecosystem, and at best, even to the overall community would be good. But ecosystem, 100%, it will translate into some good value for the Supra token. So 10 out of 10, right? 7 out of 10 right there. Relationships, I'm being very critical here. And the reason being is because there's too many logos, and too many logos with overarching category of partnerships, many relationships, partnerships, and VCs. The problem is I don't know which ones are strategic or not, and which ones are valid. And because they've, put so many links with and partnerships, quote unquote, with Google and this and that, it kind of turns me off to the point that I don't trust those links anymore. So I'm giving them 50-50. If you want to spend a whole week looking through all of those, good on you. But the retail investor, you don't want to be confused and you don't want to be deceived. So I'm going to, hit it where it hurts and say, no, I'm 50-50 on the relationships. Prove it to me that they're valid. Give me some clarity there. I'm glad to see that some of them are clickable, but again, which ones are the important ones, and which ones should we be bullish on, and which ones are true partnerships, and which ones are just, great relationships? And that for me would be a lot better. So I'm 50-50 there, taking it with a grain of salt. And then the exchange, I think this is probably the better opportunity here of all of this. I know the 3 out of 10 looks bad, but in fact, it's not. It's actually a good thing, because that means that there's a lot of opportunity to get this token listed on many major exchanges, Binance and Coinbase. It already has a relationship with Coinbase, which is great. So it's very likely that we could see Supra listed on Coinbase in the future. It's probably part of some sort of incubation or something like that. Again, more detail would be awesome. But ultimately, this is what we see. Mexi, Gate, KuCoin, and Bybit, Murdex, and Wix. Guys, these are very small exchanges. Mexi and KuCoin probably a bit bigger, and Bybit a little bit bigger. But basically, these are small. In general, there's not that much out there, and we could see a little bit more in the next little while. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Listings, keep an eye on them. They will definitely pump, and you want to get in prior to the listing. You want to get in on the rumor, right? And then you start building position. To be honest, on this retracement, again, we'll talk about the price action again in a second. It's not bad time. We look at the market cap. Trading volume is quite high. Guys, 12% of the market cap. That's massive. That's great. And we can see, again, tokenomics wise, another reason obviously that we got to worry about is the supply. It's only 6.5% of the circulating supply is out there, right? And the rest of it is still waiting to be released over time. And that means that the diluted versus the actual the fully diluted evaluation and the market cap is going to be way off, guys. We're waiting for more tokens sent to the market, and that's going to cause sell pressure over time. So be very careful there, and just understand that in the bear market, people are going to take profit, guys. Okay, and that's something that we got to know, that it's not exclusive only to Supra. It's exclusive to projects that are getting a lot of tokens getting released in the next little bit. Okay, so let's talk about some of this stuff here. This red flag shouldn't be here, guys. Sorry about that. But let's do L1 cross-chain Oracle smart contract. That's the overall narrative. And then we have the TGE on November 27th, 2024, 3 months in, quite early still. Fast transactions, 500,000 TPS transactions, really good. Reduces friction by supporting many programming languages. You know what? I'm going to leave this red flag and say this is a red flag because this is amazing. This is the majority of what I'm bullish on. Okay, maybe that's why I left it there, guys, because ultimately this is what we got to focus on. Its ecosystem growth has no reason to not flourish, and because the ecosystem can grow, it will allow more a use case for the token or the coin, and in that case we should see value. There's a reason to hold it and want to accumulate it. Okay, so good stuff there. Telegram is an active community. Discord not very active. What I don't like is that Telegram is overly complicated and it's behaving. They're trying to design the Telegram community to behave like a Discord, and Telegram that's not its value proposition. Telegram can easily get convoluted and totally polluted with all kinds of stuff. So keep your Telegram simple. If you're looking for a complex environment to build a community, Discord is where it's at. Okay, Discord is where it's at, definitely. And again, what do I see for Supra? I see Supra with a market cap of $1 billion. And I could see it easily doing, a 5 to 10x. Why not? And I say, sure, price projection, a nice number of 20 cents. And that would be amazing to see Supra do that. Now, if it goes above it, great, congrats. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know where the future is going to take it. But based on $1 billion market cap and where the market cap is right now, I can see definitely a 20-cent market cap. And I give this thing 8 out of 10. There are some areas that I would like improved. There are some exchanges that need to get listed. There are some, minor details with regards to tokenomics that could be improved, obviously, and obviously some of the marketing could be improved. But really, guys, this project is well worth the shot. I know there's lots of L1s, and right now so many L1s means that capital, the total capital allocated to L1s as a category is getting spread very, very thin. But we need to choose our champions. And as a moonshot possibility, I think Supra has what it takes. Okay, so feel free to obviously do your own research, use this as a stepping stone to begin all of that. But of course, we're going to talk about price. Let's get right into that. What's going on with the price action? Price action wise, we see that Supra has been dipping down in the last little bit. And obviously it broke out early on and it's retracing. The question is, have we hit a bottom? And when are we going to start moving? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Okay, so lots of profitable individuals right into here, and you can see it's right around December 24th, right around the end of the year. TGE was right around here, and you can see it right away, hype, boom, straight up. Okay, now what? We got listings, we got this, we got that. Now what? Now we're retracing, trying to find true value. We're trying to find a nice floor price. Good news is we traced a lot already. Let's begin by looking at the retracement. Swing low to swing high. We can see right now we're at the 786. We came almost as close as the 886 Fibonacci retracement, which is classified as a deep, healthy, nice opportunity to buy the dip retracement. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now, we do notice in the last little while we've been getting a bit of volatility, in the sense that as Bitcoin runs and shows a lot of strength, it tends to attract a lot of the capital to it, which is healthy. But we also have to understand what the next phase is. It's rotation. People start exiting Bitcoin because as it runs, it gets risky to hold, and those traders out there are going to be looking for the next opportunities. And when they come across Supra with such good fundamentals and a price that has retraced down to the 886, the risk to reward ratio is healthy, and they rather deploy a bit of capital into this and diversify into projects that have retraced than buying projects that have already ran or are in price discovery. So this is what we have to understand. Now, if we start looking at the price action in a very practical way, it's still clearly in a downtrend. Okay, we can exclude these wicks up here just to make things a little bit more clear. You can see clearly in a downtrend, which means ultimately the trend has been the bear's friend. And when are we going to finally see this thing in the bullish favor? Okay, let's leave it like that, because we can exclude these wicks, focus on the bodies, focus on the most obvious. obvious, right? We could do the same thing here at the bottom. Focus on the most obvious bottoms right into here. It's a descending, falling wedge, and we're very close to the apex. And what's most important to me is that we're very close to the major horizontal support. We're super close. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to get there. I'm also looking at this area right here, and the reason being is because we do have a bit of a volume gap below that could cause some emotion. However, I'm not that keen about it. I did buy into this area right here. Okay, so my entry was right here. I bought yesterday, and so far so good. And I'm looking at the 8-hour time frame, guys. Let's quickly just go on the daily so that we can see this. And you can see I already have TA on the daily time frame. So you know what? I'm going to stick to the 8 hours so it's not completely a mess. And you can see that ultimately we are, still coming down and looking for that support. The majority of the support, the majority of the liquidity, the majority of the emotions is all the way down here. And I do like this area. The only reason and the only way I will be deploying more capital here is, of course, we start to see the market structure change and eventually start seeing a change of character. As of now, all we are seeing is price action slowly drip down and make lower lows and lower highs. And that is not something that we want. We want to start to see a reversal. Right, so up until now, the theory and the probability is that we come all the way down here, and prepare for that. Psychologically, economically, prepare for it, okay? Now, there could be a change here, and again, the change of character. And the change of character is going to give us a signal, and the signal will be when we at least make a higher high or come down for a higher low. We need a higher high or a higher low after these consecutive lower lows and lower highs. That will give us the change of direction. So maybe something like this, got the higher high, we backtest, come down for a higher low, and then we move to the upside, and then we do it again, and we do it again, and then we start looking at it, and it's like, oh dang, it looks like a nice pivot point structure right here, right? We're nice rounded bottom, right? Nice opportunity to get into a pivot point where we should have DCA'd maybe a little bit here, maybe a little bit at the break, and then your average entry is right here, and then wow, you're all the way up here, and you're like, dang, I should have bought into this area instead of trying to worry about catching bottoms, right? That's the problem with catching bottoms. You miss out on opportunities. Another thing that we could see is maybe, we do get rejected here, make a higher low and then go up for a higher high and then slowly build that pivot point. And that's also very possible. We don't have to break these highs in one go, right? We can still give us our first signal by making a higher low right here, which is also good because once you start seeing it, it also looks like a pivot point, and that's basically what we want to look for. And then we start to see the neckline, we start to look at this as a head and shoulders formation, and we start to see, we're ready to start running. So guess what, guys? A little bit of patience right now will definitely do it, serve justice right now. Be patient, but at the same time, dabble in, because you're buying an 886, 786 retracement on a project that has some decent fundamentals and some decent buzz behind it. Okay, so really interesting. Let's take a look at the oscillators. You can see that the momentum, I'm going to get back into the daily, and you know what I'm going to do? In fact, I'm going to get rid of some of these lines so that we can keep clean here. You can see that the momentum is definitely getting oversold, right? Momentum is falling slow and steadily, and the trend is your friend. The expansion is definitely bearish. So the question is, when do we finally exit this place and start moving to the upside? We want all of these to start moving upwards. Right now, they're all coming downwards. Not a good look here on the daily. Okay, not a good look. So we are trying to find a nice equilibrium price where we form a floor price, where the true market value gets defined by supply and demand. We don't want demand and supply. Basically, we want a gridlock of emotions between the supply and demand. Right? We don't want too much supply. We don't want too much. We want a lot of demand eventually. But the signal is to see them in gridlock where supply and demand are equal. That's where we start to go sideways and we start performing that change of character slowly, where demand starts to get stronger than the supply. And then we get the higher low or higher high. That's what we want to see. As of now, nothing is there. We see the trend oscillator. EMAs are still facing down, red histogram bars. It's still kind of dangerous here, guys, from a daily perspective. But then we start going on the 4 hour. The 4 hour right now got its bounce very nicely, very expected. And let's see if we can modify these lines just a little bit, because now I did delete the other ones, so I want to make sure that we're looking at good ones. Okay, we're okay here. It doesn't have to be an exact science or perfection here. It's just a general area. You can see we're still within the structure. We're slowly dipping down. Now, if we can get some sort of reversal pattern right here, it's obviously awesome. But the 4 hour is almost already overbought, right? And you can see here on the trend oscillator, we're in the chop zone right now. We could hesitate here a little bit and then get overbought in a bigger way. The expansion on the 4 hours tapering in, which is nice. Look at the last time it tapered in. We want to see this thing taper in, and we want a green bullish response. We haven't got one in so long, guys, since TGE pretty much, right? So after that's been complete sell-off, people taking profit, and we want a bullish response, and it's going to happen once Supra reaches its floor price. So again, not the greatest moment at the current level, but it's a great moment to keep this on a watch list for accumulation if you're bullish. Now, this right here is indecisive. You can see it's been going sideways, planking. We want volatility, guys. We want expansion. We want this. Now, it's either you're going to get bearish and get it over with, or we're going to start, we're done. We're finishing the distribution of tokens that are being sold, and then ultimately during that time, we're going sideways, which is good because technically, as the price is falling, momentum here on the trend is going sideways. That's a sign of divergence. It's class B, but it's a sign of divergence. It's a good sign that the trend is not really weak. At the end of the day, it's at least neutralizing, and neutral is good in such price action. If you see neutral momentum where price is falling, at least you're holding in a divergent state, which is not bad of a scenario. So again, final verdict here. We're on point. We're on point. Put it on a watch list. We're at a level where, yes, you have to pay attention because we could get in that reversal structure any moment now. And if you're on the sidelines and you have a bit of FOMO, yes, buy a little bit. Buy 20% maximum. And then as you see the confirmations come in, deploy more and accumulate within this general range. And then when we see the price reclaim its previous highs, which eventually it's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen eventually. We just got to be very patient. And once it happens, you will be deep in the green, and you'll see, modestly speaking, being up 150%, just at previous highs. And then what about price discovery and all-time highs and all that kind of stuff, right? So definitely extension levels are going to put you in a very profitable scenario once we see the rotation of, altcoin capital back into the altcoin market. Right now, Bitcoin is leading the way. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Guys, see you tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.